With all of the moving parts going on with live television, mistakes are eventually going to happen, and it's even surprising that it isn't more common. Sometimes, though, live television gives us a gift, particularly when it involves news reporters, who have to deal with the variable that is the public. With that in mind, today we are going to take a look at some of the most uncomfortable news reporter moments caught on live TV. Let's go. Snow sucks. Living in the Midwest during the winter isn't easy. With the cold weather and snow getting the best of even the most hardened of us, that was certainly the case for this Milwaukee reporter, who clearly drew the short stick that day while reporting on the snowfall in Wisconsin. While sometimes news reporting can be, no pun intended, cold, this reporter gave a refreshing bit of insight into the day-to-day of being a news reporter in the field. She began by saying that she had been out there in the cold since 3:30 a.m. and that the time of broadcasting, it was more than 6 hours later. She put it very well by saying, "I'm exhausted. I've run out of things to say. It is snowing and it sucks here. It's always risky to speak from the heart, but the outburst was met by smiles and laughter by both viewers and the anchors themselves. Sometimes it pays to be honest, I guess." A hornet attacks a meteorologist. Fox 59 anchor meteorologist Jennifer Ketchmark had a very embarrassing moment on TV live to all of Indianapolis a few years back. While doing the weather, Jennifer's producers switched from the traditional map to a tower cam overlooking all of Indianapolis. And, for whatever reason, a mean-spirited hornet decided to charge the lens. Jennifer clearly didn't anticipate such a thing happening, even though she's a seasoned pro, and screeched in terror like a horror movie character. She then proceeded to flee the screen before returning, even going so far as to comment that she knew right away she would end up on some blooper reel online. Boy, was she right. But at least she was a good sport about the whole thing, and hey, hornets are pretty scary too. Well, one of us is going to have to change. You've all seen that old sitcom joke where two people show up to the party and one of them is forced to change, right? Well, turns out that is not nearly as funny in real life, and instead, super uncomfortable. Who would have thunk? Well, this story comes from Australia, where anchors Amber Sherlock and Julie Snook had a very weird and uncomfortable spat of their own. Amber was apparently upset that Julie and her were both wearing white, and rather than let it go, she decided the best course of action was to bring it up over and over again. Really professional, Amber. Snook offered to leave the show if it was such a big issue, and surprisingly, Amber agreed with her. The whole thing got resolved with Julie throwing a black jacket over it, but this seemed like such a small issue to dwell on. The whole thing was just a bad look for Amber, who looked vain and rude throughout the incident. This man's had enough of the Kardashians. Obviously, when you're a reporter, you don't always get to pick and choose the stories that you cover on television, and I'm sure it can get pretty grating to cover similar stories over and over again. That was certainly the case for John Brown, who, while reporting on a story about Kylie Jenner, named her rabbit Bruce, had simply had enough. On Good Day Orlando, John put his foot down saying, "I'm sick of this family. It's a non-story. Nobody cares about this family anymore." The clip ended up going viral, with most supporting John's statement, so I'm guessing that what he said did hold some truth to it, even if I'm sure his fellow co-hosts may have been caught off guard by the improvisation. What was Poppy Harlow's big scare on CNN? While reporting about the war against ISIS for CNN a few years ago, Poppy Harlow, who was pregnant at the time, had a very scary moment on live television. She began slurring her words, and it was immediately noticeable to her fellow reporter, Becky Anderson. Poppy isn't visible when all of this is happening, but the mic audio catches her struggling to breathe before passing out on national television. Things ended up being okay for the anchor, who tweeted out that she was okay and just needed to take a quick little break before starting again, but the tension and concern in the moment is palpable, and the quick cut to commercial had many worried they had witnessed a tragedy that day. An honest mistake makes internet gold. Reporter Shilbin Ryan of Flint's WJRT isn't an artist, and she would probably admit as much. She was simply trying to draw the construction zone for the audience to be able to better navigate the city. But the drawing looked very phallic, let's say. Just looking at the image makes you think it was some kind of prank or something, but it was a completely honest mistake on the part of Riley. And you can tell by watching this segment. While it was very hard for the internet to keep a straight face when the clip inevitably made the rounds on the internet, Riley doesn't seem to realize at any point of the segment and never even cracks a smile during the whole thing. WJRT would later apologize to anyone that was offended, but Riley received no punishment, and I'm sure they all had a great big laugh about the whole thing afterwards. Tucker Carlson's big nap. News people work some crazy hours, and although they may seem bright and cheery on the television, usually these people are running on caffeine or sugar to get them through the workday. Tucker must have forgotten his boost when he appeared on Fox and Friends, because during a commercial break, Carlson had accidentally drifted off. Funnily enough, the hosts of the show seemed more than happy to let him sleep, probably because of how innocently funny the whole thing was. When the cameras came back on, Tucker was clumped on the couch, and the two still awake hosts of the show shared a good laugh with each other and the audience. Kimberly takes a dive. Fox News anchor Kimberly Guilfoyle isn't one to beat around the bush about anything that she's thinking or feeling, and that was certainly the case when the former attorney spoke on The Five back in 2014, when she had some not so nice things to say about her fellow ladies. Kimberly was brought on to talk about controversies surrounding sexism during the midterm elections, where she claimed that women don't have enough life experience to really make an informed voting decision, and that they should just stick to Tinder instead. Her words, honest. The whole thing caused a backlash not just among women, but really to most that tuned in. Well, I guess except for Miss Guilfoyle, who probably just enjoyed the attention. Even her fellow hosts on the show seemed shocked that she would so openly say something like that, and it's really an awkward moment to watch. Don Lemon has a great new year. Back in 2017, Don Lemon and his co-host were reporting live from a bar, where Don proceeded to have a few drinks, which were definitely also a few too many. Throughout the night, Don drank more and more, and whenever they cut to them, you could see him getting progressively more drunk. His co-host even said at one point that the tequila is like emanating from your pores. This comment didn't stop Lemon though, who pondered openly whether he should get his ear or nipple pierced that night. Thankfully for everyone, he chose the ear. This is one of those weird stories that is both funny and awkward, because Don is super fun and wasted, but his colleague is clearly trying to keep things from falling apart. I say just go with it and order a drink yourself next time. Don, at least publicly, faced no real punishment besides some more ribbing by his CNN colleagues. A sudden career change. Alaska reporter Carlo Green made a dramatic declaration live on television a few years ago while covering a story about the cannabis legislation as well as the Alaskan Cannabis Club, who was pushing for increased freedom in the state. Green shocked everyone, probably most of her colleagues as well, when she announced that she was actually the owner of the club and that this would be her last day as a journalist for the network. After she explained the cause and what the club was fighting for, she said that now everyone knew why she, the actual owner of the club, would be dedicating all of her time and energy to the cause and the legalization of marijuana. She then let out an expletive before saying that it's not like she has a choice, but then she has to quit. Now, a few years later, cannabis is readily available in the state, so it looks like she got what she wanted after all. And that is it for our video today. I hope you guys didn't cringe too hard at all the awkward and strange moments on this list. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this one released all the time. Have a good one.